Hello everybody, this is Snarist and I'm back again with my God of War 3 Chaos Mode walkthrough, and this is part 3, Palace of Hades. And in this we're going to be heading up to Hades Palace, and that's right before we confront him for the boss fight. Now if you wonder what I was doing just then with all the rolling, if you roll and then hit square and you let the animation finish, it cancels the end of the roll so you can roll a little bit faster. It doesn't really help too much in combat, but it definitely helps getting around a lot easier. And what I just did there with these dogs, if you can, try to charge up the bow, and then just do the plume of Prometheus, the plume of Prometheus, and get them all locked down, or just simply grab them. Now, if these things grab onto you, it's a pain in the ass because they will rip you to shreds and kill you. And I have to warn you as well, you will be fighting these things quite a bit often in the future, and when they grab onto you, they don't do that much damage, but they hold you still for every other enemy. And I think it's kind of silly that when you have one of these things on you and it grabs you, you just simply shrug it off like it's no big deal. You just kind of toss it to the side. But when you've got more than one on you and they all start swarming you, you do like this sort of burst where you just explode outward and you send them all flying backwards, and that includes a lot of the other smaller enemies that you might be fighting as well. And I don't know why you can't do that with the first one, so it's almost like the game punishes you for getting rid of them quickly when you should be waiting for more to jump on you. It's really strange. There's a couple of red chests here that you can get as a reward for that. Given how much they give you, it probably isn't worth it. The dogs themselves cost more. But it's just something a little extra if you want. You don't have to go down that area. And I did a lot of cutting around there just because I don't like turning the crank on that sort of, I don't even really know what it is, but it just takes forever. And I cut it out, you don't need to see all that. That chest I just passed, it will refill when you go back around to it again later on. Now you get the Blade of Olympus here, and it ties into the Rage of Sparta, which once that meter's full you can activate it and you can use the Blade of Olympus. Personally, I think the Blade of Olympus in this game is trash. All it serves is that you take a lot less damage, so you'll still get hit and you'll take damage, but you won't take that much. It'll be like you're playing the game on easy. You'll like armor through several attacks, they won't really cause you to flinch, you won't get hurt. Some attacks enemies do can knock you out of it, but don't try to push L3 and R3 again to get back out into it or out of it, because the moment they knock you, like the Chimera, its charge attack will knock you backwards and it'll look like you've been knocked out of it, but then you immediately go back into it. And if you do what I do and you panic push L3 and R3 as well, what'll end up happening is you'll just turn it off and you'll wonder why you haven't got it on again. Really strange stuff. But yeah, Blade of Olympus, not that strong. It's decently strong. It's just not as strong as you think it would be. It's more so a good, I guess it's a way to like burn damage or chip away at the enemy's health a little bit more. Give yourself like some iframes as you activate it to save yourself from damage. I'm actually a little bit bummed out because again, the orbs you collect don't have as much value because it's on Chaos, and that goes for Rage orbs as well. So you don't get to use your Rage all that often. Anyway, so you make your way back here, and the moment you burn away this bramble, you'll fight two of these Hades Cerberus. And if you remember me talking about the Cerberus breeder boss before, this is the enemy that you'll be fighting then, except you'll be fighting one of them, and they do significantly worse things than what these things do. So what you want to keep in mind is that two of them can gang you at the same time if they want, but one will usually kind of stay away and do that. Now you can block everything that they do. There's a grab they do that, yeah, like that grab. They can interrupt you and do things. You can parry that grab, and they do a lot of really quick attacks, and they do take a bit of a pounding, I'm afraid. But what you want to try and do is either block those projectiles, and if you're close enough, hit square to do a bit of extra damage, or if you can, block the projectiles with the golden fleece and then push triangle to knock it back. Personally, I think this fight goes on way too long for what it's worth. It's just annoying, so go ahead and use Army of Sparta if you want. And as you take away each of the heads, they won't be able to do their projectiles attacks anymore, and they'll just focus on attacking you normally, which I guess is kind of okay. But the problem with that as well is now they're just going to kind of box you in if you get both of their heads on both of them taken off. I will say though, it's good practice. This is good practice for dealing with large groups of enemies in the future, especially from larger enemies. If you get hit a couple times, it's okay, it's no big deal. There's plenty of health chests coming up in the next area, so you'll be more than ready for Hades. Because something I noticed is that if you die in a section a lot, you will get a bit more of your health back if you don't start out full health. I just popped the Blade of Olympus there just so I can get a bit of extra damage because I'm getting sick of this fight and I just want it to end. If you want to know what attacks to use with the Blade of Olympus, I would recommend pushing on with a light attack just a few times and then ending it with a triangle, because triangle attacks are really strong because it's basically a spin attack that slams down, but if you get 3 good hits in, then you can end it on that. Now the reason why I wouldn't recommend just spamming square is because what Kratos will do is he'll only do like one heavy swing and then he'll charge forward with it and he'll try to come back around with another heavy swing. It doesn't always hit things, the hitboxes are a little bit weird. And I think there's a couple of other moves, like there's one where instead of a jump button with the Blade of Olympus, he runs forward and jumps down and sends a kind of shockwave into the ground. I think that might be a launcher, but it's so weak and ineffective that I wouldn't bother with it. And now into here, this room is a little weird. You know, try your best to get by without using any of that chest there. Grab the guys, use them as battering rams, try to throw them against the dogs. It's always awful when you accidentally hit the wall because they're stuck on it. But when you do get them against the wall like that, if you want to have a bit of a break, just keep spamming circle when they're against the wall and you can get some extra orbs, get your higher combo out of it, and you'll be safe, completely safe. Unlike if you grab them normally and you decide to push circle and punch their face in, then you're still vulnerable. But if you use them as a battering ram and put them against the wall, then you can still get that off and you'll be safe completely. Bow of Apollo will come in quite handy this, dealing with the dogs. Although if you try to attack the dogs straight away with the Bow of Apollo, they have been known to dodge. So if you're going to do anything at all, wait till they start to attack you and charge towards you, and just charge up the Bow of Apollo. Set them on fire and they'll run around and set everyone else on fire as well. That's sort of what you want to try and do. You'll find that you have quite a few tools at your disposal that you forget about. By the way, I'm saving my red orbs right now for a level 3 upgrade to the Blades of Exile, because level 3 is when it starts getting really, really good. And it also does a lot more damage. I'm not going to do it in time for the Hades boss fight, unfortunately. I tried to, but if you don't want to get the level 3 upgrade straight away, then the Bow of Apollo at level 2 and maxed out is still a good choice, because the Bow of Apollo is good for getting a bit of extra damage. Like if you've ever played Devil May Cry, it basically works the same way, because Ebony and Ivory aren't meant to be what kills enemies. It's supposed to be just like a combo extender. And that's more or less what the Bow of Apollo is. Just fill in the gaps when you can't get near the boss, but you can still hit them. Just use the Bow of Apollo. Now when you move this stack of blocks away, you're going to get harpies spawning in. So immediately pull out the Bow of Apollo, charge it up, and hopefully you'll hit a few of them, because they'll start crashing into each other. And when they do, they'll start falling to the ground and going crazy. Or if you want to, do what I'm doing. Head back towards this part of the entrance, and they'll still dive bomb you if they get close, but they become infinitely more passive when you're back here. So look, they're still doing it. But if you were in the middle of them out there, they would definitely dive bomb you non-stop. But back here, they become a lot more pacified. See, there's a few health chests in this whole palace area here, so you'll be okay as far as health goes. Now I'm pretty sure I barely missed out on a potential level 3 upgrade for the blades, which is a shame because that would have made the Hades boss fight a lot faster, but this is still a lot more realistic because I don't think many of you are going to be having the blades like barely above level 2. But if you've been following my instructions and you've been paying attention to where I've been picking up all these different chests and everything, then you'll know where to find them too. But trust me, there's a few really sneaky ones that you'll want to get your hands on. Now this is a strange fight coming up, and it's hilarious because they fill these chests with gold orbs, expecting you to use the Blade of Olympus as a bit of practice, but you don't got, look how much you don't get. Now, there is a magic chest here, so the best thing to do is to wait till they all pile up, and then hit them with the army of Sparta and kill them all. But this has always been a weird encounter for me, because even at level 2, these blades still don't do all that much, and when you've got dogs that are piling on you like this, and distracting you and leaving you vulnerable to the Minotaur's charge, and you've got 2 of them to worry about as well, so you may not always have an opening for an attack that knocks them away. You know, keep them off screen as best you can, focus on one. You can grab them in the air if you want, like I just did there. Now, this is going to be a little bit of a longer encounter than I would have liked, just because it's kind of annoying. Personally, if this was me on any other walkthrough for Chaos that I've done before, I would rather just run past this and skip them, but, you know, for some reason I decided to stay and fight these things. And so far, I haven't really given you guys a clear example of when I'm trying to grab a smaller enemy, but I end up grabbing a bigger one. And that's mostly because, well, this is, I don't know, anywhere from, you know, we're basically in the teens of times where I've taken on Chaos mode for God of War 3. That's how much I love this game. And I'm more than aware of how dangerous it can be when you try to grab small enemies when bigger enemies are nearby. So early on, I'm not really going to make that mistake, but, you know, just know that whenever there's a cut or a long sequence that's been trimmed down, and I've mentioned it, then just know that I've died heaps on that sequence, and, you know, a very common mistake made is when I'm trying to grab an enemy, and I end up trying to grab it like a centaur or something. So skipping that unnecessarily long, drawn-out sequence of Persephone's corpse in that coffin. If you remember Chains of Olympus, we killed her as the final boss, and by far one of the most annoying final bosses I've ever done, and part of why I don't like Chains of Olympus. Just because it's the long run back and the unskippable cutscene. Like, I know people say that she's pretty easy as far as the final boss goes, even on, was it God mode? But I found her to be really annoying and upsetting. Like, the hitboxes were strange on her attacks with projectiles. You know, and even just one hit was enough to kill you. Even with all your upgrades and everything. It was so strange. Maybe I'm misremembering, but, you know, all I know is that she was by far my least favourite boss in that whole game. So there's a little bit of exploration going on here. Occasionally, depending on where you go, some enemies will pop up. Beware of the harpies when they dive bomb you. If you want a bit more of a clue as to when the harpies do dive bomb, what they end up doing is you'll see the flash on the ground, the circle. It'll pulsate 3 times, and on the 3rd time you need to start rolling, otherwise it's going to come down and hit you. So up here is just some pots, a couple of chests, and I think it's within like the Hades faceplate with the statue that you're supposed to break. You actually get a chest with a phoenix feather in it. Yeah, in here. I think it's quite a clever place to hide it. So here's a magic upgrade. So now that I think about it, with those Minotaurs before, if you want, spam your magic like crazy to kill the dogs and to do some serious damage on the Minotaurs, and then quickly, once they're distracted or they're still recovering, open up that chest, get all your magic back, or at least most of it, use Army of Sparta a couple more times, finish them off for good, just so it's nice and easy, then you can go get that Phoenix Feather, and not only get the maximum magic upgrade, but it refills your magic as well. So there's another chest here, and there'll be one coming down. And what you have to do is you have to open up this gate down here, and then grab that stone pile from off of the wheel. That door back up there is going to close, and then we're going to move through here, but you'll be under attack by harpies. And it'll be the exact same encounter, and I'm going to do the exact same strategy. Just charge at the bow of Apollo, try to hit one of them, or multiple, set them all on fire, and then just run back to the entrance, and hopefully they pacify by then, or I can at least nick them before they get to me. So the moment I try to move it, they'll spawn in. That's when I start running. And see... Oh no, I tell a lie actually. Here I thought I could be clever. Look at that. Nice. I thought I could be clever and try to pick up the stone pile and try to get it through the gate before they could catch me. But as I went to hit R1, it activated the save light there. And I got put off and distracted. But luckily that was a well-placed arrow. charged arrow with the bow of Apollo, and I was able to set them all on fire pretty much, and then finish them off. Any of the weaklings with, oh, still one left. Yeah, I just leave it alone. Because, yeah, when you charge up the bow of Apollo and let off a charged shot, it doesn't drain your item bar completely, even on the lowest setting. It will mostly, but there's enough to get a few arrows off just to finish them off if you have to. And as far as like my first time going through this, or the first few times going through Chaos mode, Hades was always a bit of a tough boss for me, and he was one of the hardest I found. That's kind of still the case, because Poseidon wasn't really all that tough, he just took a long time. And I wouldn't typically classify Helios or Hermes as boss fights. Hercules, in this version, I actually struggle quite a bit, and there's a bit of a weird sort of bug that I can't undo, because to do so would be to completely replay several parts of the game, because this was pretty much all done in one go. And so I didn't feel like starting and losing an hour worth of footage, which was my mistake. So my take on the Hercules boss isn't going to be completely honest, so I had to explain some things before and during the fight. But yeah, Kronos is kind of like a bit, not really so much of a fight as he is like a puzzle fight. And so, Scorpion's just kind of broken. The Ice Scorpion, that's another terrible boss. And the Cerberus breeder, I've already told you before, I think sucks. So Zeus is the only like real proper boss fight out of all those, really, that I would say is worth the respect. But in this one, I always thought it was really troublesome, but then I realized Hades is actually pretty predictable, and he's not so bad. And not only is he still one of my favourite bosses in this game and in the series in general, but he's actually pretty manageable. You can block a lot of his stuff. And I have plenty to talk about that when we get to it. So this is the end of the chapter, and I'll see you guys again in the Hades boss fight. Bye guys.